Hi, hello lads. So this is a follow-on from the unit circle. So we're going to have a look today at reference angles. So here is our unit circle. We know and love it at this stage. So I'm just going to fill out my unit circle with all of my basics. And again, this doesn't have to be accurate. This is just a representation of something that you should, on page 13 of your log tables, be able to access. So there's your 0, there's your 90, there's your 180, there's your 270, and there's your 360. Okay, and as you know from our unit circle, all the angles in here, the sine, cos, and tan of them, they're all going to be positive. In here, in this range between 90 and 180, sine is going to be positive, but cosine and tan are going to be negative for all angles. Here, tan is going to be positive, both cosine and sine are going to be negative. And here, cosine is going to be positive, and sine and tan are going to be negative. So that's something we learned in our last video. So, and we also learned the underlying reason why that's true. Now, let's have a look at what a reference angle is. So, a reference angle. Now, a reference angle is a super important thing because it allows you access to other realms of maths, for example, complex numbers, advanced trigonometry, some types of calculus will use it as well. So for this, I'm just going to create an angle. Okay, so let's say I've got 30 degrees. So there you go, there's 30 degrees. Okay, now I can get my calculator out and I can find the sine, the cos, or the tan of 30 degrees. So let's say the sine of 30 degrees is a half, and that is true. But I'm not getting the calculator to do that. Rather, I'm having a look on page 13 of my log tables. I'm going to sine, and I'm going to cross to where I see 30, and there it's given me a half. And this should be your Bible when it comes to anything to do with abstract trigonometry. This should be your Bible. Don't use and don't trust the calculator unless you're desperate. So you can always use your calculator to confirm an answer, but I would never use it to get the answer if I can use page 13 instead. And you'll see that for obvious reasons as we go through this. So the sine of 30 is a half. Now, what's unique about the unit circle is that somewhere else on this unit circle, there is another angle. When I get its sine, it'll also give me a half. And the question is, how do you find it? Well, you find it by using the reference angle. So if this is a reference angle of 30, then where would this angle be represented in this? Remember, from the unit circle, all angles on the unit circle are measured from 0 anti-clockwise. That way. Okay? So 0 to 30. So where would, if I was to plonk 30 degrees down in this quadrant, what angle from there to that point would it make? So let's plot 30 down in here. Okay? So there's my 30. So what angle has been made from there right over to here? And of course, the way to figure out this angle from here to there is to just take 180 degrees away from 30 degrees, and I get 150 degrees. So now let's check what the sine of 150 degrees is. I'm going to use my calculator this time. The sine of 150 degrees is a half, the same answer as the sine of 30. So these are my two angles. 30 in the first quadrant and 150 in the second quadrant, they will have the same sine value. Now, what happens if we want to look and see what 30 looks like as a reference down here? Well, look, let's do that. Let's draw 30 in this segment. So there's 30 here. But let's see now how I would use this reference to find what angle that makes. So look, I'm starting at 0, I'm coming the whole way around, and I get stopped right there. So what's happened? I've gone from 0 to 180 and I've gone an extra 30. So now this angle would be 180 degrees plus 30 as a reference, and that would be 210. So now let's see what the sine of 210 degrees is. So if I'm right, it should be a half because they're both a half, but you also have to remember that sine is positive, but what is sine down here? So let's check. The sine of 210 is minus a half. So the number didn't change, but the sign changed because we know that any sine value down in here has to be negative. So let's see what happens if we keep going. Let's see what happens if we put 30 down in here. Now, so you can go the whole way around. So there I am. Now, let's see how I can find it using 30. Well, I know it's gone 180 and another 90, but I don't know how far it's gone here. I could work that out. Wouldn't it just be easier to just take the full circle and take this little bit out of it? 330 degrees. So let's now find the sine of 330 degrees. And I wonder, is it positive or negative? First of all, I wonder, is it a half? And it is a half, and it's negative. And that makes sense because sine is negative in the fourth quadrant. So that's how a reference angle works. You can apply it to each of the four quadrants. If it's in the first quadrant, it's just whatever angle it is. If it's in the second quadrant, you're taking it away from 180. If it's in the third quadrant, you're adding it to 180. And if it's in the fourth quadrant, you're taking it away from 360. So I'll just show you that in a simpler little diagram to help you out. Okay? Sorry now. So, if you look at it again carefully, it really just boils down to this simple little solution. If the angle in here, if the reference angle is here, it's just that angle. So if the reference angle is positive, if it's 30 degrees, 50 degrees, 70 degrees, whatever it is, it's there. If it's here, it's 180 minus the reference angle. If it's here, it's 180 degrees plus the reference angle. And if it's here, it's 360 degrees minus the reference angle. Okay, now let me show you some examples of this. So I'm going to come back to this while we're doing these examples. I might just leave it there at the top for everyone to see. So I'm going to give an example. Let's find the tan of some angle is 1 over root 3. Find two possible angles that would solve this. So let's have a look. Let's find two possible angles. And let's say we're looking for angles between 0 and 360 degrees. Make it easy for ourselves. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to see what reference angle this represents. So I'm going to go to my log tables, page 13. I'm going to find where root 3 is. I'm going to go for the tan of 1 over root 3, and it's 30 degrees. So my reference angle is 30 degrees. Now I'm going to check, is this positive or negative? And I can see straight away it's positive. So now where is tan positive? We know that tan is positive in the first and in the third quadrant. Well, let's read what it says. If the reference angle is in the first quadrant, well, it's positive in the first quadrant. It's just that angle. So there's one of A could be 30 degrees. But tan can be positive here. So what does it say to do? If it's in this quadrant, I add the reference angle to 180. So A could be 180 plus 30, which is 210 degrees. And now, I know I'm right. I know I'm right. But I can check that I'm right. Okay? So, tan of 30. Now, so I don't like using the calculator for this, but I just want to show you. They give me root 3 over 3. That's fine. It's not the same as that, but it is the same. If I SD it, I get the same answer as if I put 1 over root 3. Okay? So, just take it as that being 1 over root 3. It is. Trust me. Now, let's get the tan of 210. And there you go. So it does work. Now, let's do one where it's minus. So I'm going to do one where it's minus, just to show you that this isn't some type of craziness. Let's say we have the sine of some angle is minus root 3 over 2. And that angle is somewhere between 0 and 360. Find two possibilities. Okay, well, let's do this. First of all, let us find what the reference angle is. Sine and root 3 over 2 is 60 degrees. So my reference angle is 60 degrees. Now let's check, is this positive or negative? It's negative. If it's negative, then where is the sign negative? The sign is negative in the third and in the fourth. So let's try and figure it out. If it's in the third, I add 180 to my reference angle. So theta is going to be 60 degrees, the reference angle, plus 180 degrees, which is 240 degrees. And it's going to be also in the fourth quadrant, which is 360 minus the reference angle, which is 300. So there's my two possible answers, and you can check that you're right. Let's get the sine of 240. There you go, minus root 3 over 2. Let's get the sine of 300, minus root 3 over 2. So there you have it.